Hello, mates. Major Blood here. Fading arts. Roses are red, like arterial spray, on the blade of a trench knife. Happy Valentine's Day.
Hello and welcome to a rather romantic episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoes Reborn.com with me, Diagnostic80 aka Casanova80 for today's episode. And for today's sexy episode, I am joined by the majority of the squad: Paddy I Love Snake Eyes Lennon, Erik Flirty Araña Araña, Adam Snitches Get Kisses Riches, and Patrick Hotpicard Stewart. I love that one. In this Between the Sheets special episode, we discuss our top 3 G.I. Joe love-related moments, reveal our most treasured items, and round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. It's Full Force, Kiss My Cheekly. And that could be either cheek, really. Do you like all of the love-based puns there, Pat?
Yeah, that's great. I think that might be the first time I've ever been called Hotpicard. It's my knowledge, anyway.
From now on, that is all you're known as. Let's get stuck into the news then, and in world's smallest news, a packaging variant of the Super Impulse World's Smallest G.I. Joe, a Real American Hero figures, have been spotted at Target. Pictures appeared last week of the figures courtesy of Warren Selinsky, with a very interesting variation and a new sub-brand called Action Micro Figures. It's not uncommon to see these sorts of branding and package changes late into a line, but it does seem as though Super Impulse want to differentiate their products into subcategories. Pat, have you seen any of these at all in the wild this past week?
Well, I have, but I have to kind of confess that I actually had these sitting behind me for the last few episodes, and I just didn't say anything. I don't know. Sometimes I talk about variations. People think I'm just droning on. So I'm glad that Warren put these out there and that people responded to them.
Yeah.
Really thought that if I said something, people would just give me the same old thing that they do any other time, telling me that it's not really that big of a deal. But it kind of is. I mean, here, for example, is Duke. I actually haven't found the new Snake Eyes. But here, for example, is Duke. And I opened them both to do a comparison. And the figure inside is actually slightly different as well.
Wow.
The details on the figure are a little bit darker as far as the tan and the green go. And on my original one, I don't know. It's sometimes with the variation, you have to look at multiple examples. I have only looked at one example of each as far as the fit goes.
Yeah.
And the helmet on my newer one actually fits a lot better than the older one. So I don't know if they made some corrections to make it work better, or if my original one was just kind of not a good sample.
Interesting.
But I remember John P. Love from Joe Customs posting his, and his helmet didn't really fit all that well on his original one either.
I've heard that about Busk as well.
Right. But then the little card inside is also slightly different with some more markings on it, because they've put that Action Micro Figures actually on the card.
Oh, right.
Original one. So they are slightly different, and on the back there's also some other symbols. For some reason it says 121 on all of the new ones too. It says that up here. It actually says that now on the back of the card. I don't really
Interesting.
I don't know what that's about.
Yes, that's awesome. So, well, there you go. Variant, not just in packaging, but also pretty much in figure too. That's it's not, again, and it's no surprise really, because I remember the video you guys did for Articulated Points where you discussed the first G.I. Joe mini, kind of like world's smallest, and that had some changes. That
one actually had some pretty major changes, because they altered the way that the hips functioned. Articulation on the figure became very different.
At least hips don't lie.
It's true.
Anyway, thanks Hotpicard for that. So again, quite interesting if you get to see these guys out and about, if you ever do that anymore, or when it becomes safe to do so. If you do, then obviously they'll hopefully be out there in abundance. Although I found it really difficult getting hold of I think one of them when they were around the first time round. So yeah, go grab them. They're awesome and they're really cute. I love those figures.
$6 at Target.
How much?
$6 at Target.
Not bad. I'll have 20 of those, thanks. In retro news, Retro Wave 3 has been showing up at retail with a number of people sharing images of the Lady J, Cobra Commander and Screaming Duke in different Walmarts across the country. So far out of the 3 waves, this is a bit of a dud for me, but what do you think, Pat? Are you happy it's kind of out there finally, or are you not really into this one?
Screaming Duke, I just can't possibly be into that figure. I'm really curious to see Lady J in hand. Aside from that, hopefully these are getting into the hands of some people who really like them. I did see somebody post Cobra Commander and some other people really excited to have that one in hand with it's the build from San Diego Comic-Con, and some people were really happy to have that one with a traditional Cobra logo rather than Mickey Mouse Cobra logo, which was appropriate for it in the San Diego set. But, now some people are happy just to get it this way. Duke, though, this retro line, it has a ways to go. They could have done much better with Duke. I think the colors are nice. I'll say that. I think the colors are nice.
I'm trying to match his mouth shape. It's hard. It's really hard to do. Anyway, yeah, I still, to this day, do not understand the jetpack straps. Like, if you wanted to use that figure because he's yelling, fair enough. But give him the bandolier. Give him like a different thing going on. Or stick the bloody jetpack in there. You know?
I mean, the jetpack straps are going to be handy. We could pull them off and use them for the green jumps that are out there. They'll look good on that. It's not a useless accessory. It's a decent one, but it's not going to really make the Duke figure look like Duke. I mean, his package art is right there next to him, showing you what his bandolier is more intended to look like. And We've used that part multiple times. I really don't know what went on with this. It seems like it was a little bit scattered of a plan, and hopefully they pull things together, because this is not looking good to me.
Yeah. Anyway, the less we dwell on the Retro Wave 3, probably the better.
Looking forward to Lady J. I will say that.
Yeah. Oh, well, again, I wasn't a massive fan of that figure when it first came out. I think I know the idea is to give her baggy pants, but they just look like big legs to me, and it just throws the visual off for me. And the head sculpt, I was never a massive fan of it. I don't think it really evokes Lady J for me. Controversial.
Actually, I kind of liked the way that it looked, though, whenever it was in the concept case. And
right.
I'm hoping that this figure does a little bit of a better job of that. And the actual plastic of these figures so far has been a little bit better than they were at those tail-end Toys R Us figures. So hopefully, that it'll at least have that going for it. And the eyes of that Lady J, whenever she was released at Toys R Us, it kind of looked like they'd smoothed over the sculpt of the eyes and then tampoed on something very decorative. So I am really hoping that...
Going all over the place as well. The eyes were like, one looking that way, one looking... Yeah, that was...
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you were like cheering. Like, I wasn't sure what you meant.
Yay! I'm pointing at the eyes, which are up here. There's one on Jeffrey. Anyway, yes. No, I agree. I think it's nice to get improvements on them, but at the same time, I don't think I was really that into them, and especially like seeing this Duke again. I mean, Cobra Commander I've had so many times. Like I could accidentally make that Cobra Commander. Like, I could throw all of the Cobra Commanders in a bin, shake them up, and that might fall out at some point. So it's like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I need it or not. I know I don't need it, but I'm probably going to buy it. Anyway, that's irrelevant and annoying and my problem. Moving on and away from retro into more retro news. In retro and classified news, New listings have appeared for both G.I. Joe Retro and Classified lines, courtesy of JT Prime 17 on HisTank. The listings show a new figure and vehicle for the Retro line, as well as a re-release of the Wave 1 Snake Eyes figure, whose internal Hasbro code word has changed from Tarantula to Earth. It was suggested that Moonshine slash Zenith, easy for me to say, was a 2-pack, but we can confirm that they are different code words for the same character. We have no idea as far as the vehicle goes, but that will be interesting to see what they reveal next. In terms of Classified, a new deluxe was found, but it most likely is the Fortnite Snake Eyes based on serial numbers, and we have new code words for the Snake Eyes movie Classified Scarlet, formerly Mosquito, now Galaxy, and the Baroness, formerly Mantis, now Mars. All very interesting stuff. Pat, starting with Retro, what do you expect to see next in terms of the vehicle in the line?
I think that the obvious choice would maybe be a Vamp, but we've already seen the Striker. For some reason, it seems like what we're looking at is some of the molds that have been used a lot. So I would either think we're going to see the Snowcat again.
Yeah.
That would kind of make sense. Or maybe we will see an actual something new. But if it's going to be something new, it probably would be something somewhat physically small, like the Fang was. So I don't know, maybe a Ram? That would be cool. I don't know. Or a Silver Mirage, something that's kind of iconic but not that big.
Yeah.
Because I'm still of the mindset that Fang was created so the 3D model could be used for the 6-inch figures. So I think that if we see a new tooling, it's also going to be something that would be relatively small that could also be scaled up if they wanted to in the future for 6-inch.
Right, I see what you're saying there.
Mindset is.
Yeah, like kind of like a ferret or something along those lines.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm kind of hoping for a more like vamp-sized vehicle. In all honesty, and like I get what you're saying about what we've seen so far. We've seen the Hiss, we've seen the Ore Striker, we've seen the Fang, all very similar in size. The Fang has had a complete redesign. It's not the same, not even close to the original. So I personally don't know whether I'm expecting something brand new, like they've done something brand new, or they're doing again something they've used constantly. The Snowcat is a good one because that was used, to the extreme. That mold was used at one point where we had, was it the Basilisk or the repaint for the Cobra set in the SDCC set a while back where it was blue, and they had obviously the original kind of Snowcat was brought out. They had the Havoc Mark II, wasn't it, for cross country and the fan club. Yeah. So the collectors club, sorry. So if it is the Snowcat, I mean, what would you want to see? I should probably ask. What would you be really excited to see? What
I would want to see, I haven't actually given that any thought. Throw me a curveball here again. I think that I would probably need to go back and really look at the original run. Even though there was just a Hiss tank, I've always wanted to see the Hiss 2 in black.
Oh, yeah, sexy.
It would be a really cool thing to do. There's a lot of negatives to that. The Hiss was just already on the shelves, and it's not what everybody would want. It's what I would want, and that's what you asked.
I love that you've got to justify your answer to the million.
I do. I have to try to make my answer, it's a natural thing for me. I have to make my answer kind of fit into reasonable expectations.
And be really defensive to prevent any onslaught.
Well, also just to prevent my disappointment.
That's true. That's true. I know. I'm the opposite. I'm like, I really want to see this, and I want to see this, and then when it doesn't come out, I'm really devastated.
Right. I mean, go ahead and give me the Defiant if they want to, but I don't think that's going to happen.
Could you imagine? Oh, damn. I'm still of the mindset that Retro's going to get a HasLab project. I'm still thinking in that way. I've just got a feeling it's going to happen.
I agree. I think that there's a good chance of it. It seems to be that would be the moment where we would actually get some more new sculpts and some figures as well to go along with that. So hopefully we do. Hopefully that expands beyond using some of the most recently used tooling. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's not a lot really to kind of discuss in great deal. We've got more code words, but, what's there to really talk about there? Other than, can we stop having new code words? Just tell us what's coming, guys. It's funny how... it is funny, though, and probably worth talking about how Hasbro are very secretive about the G.I. Joe line, but everything else seems to get out. Like... we know what's coming with Transform. I know there's a lot of leaks involved here, but we know what's coming with the Transformers line for like the next friggin' 20 years, pretty much. We know, what characters are coming out in other lines, like characters. There are no code words attached to a lot of them. And yet with G.I. Joe, there's this real, like, strong emphasis towards keeping a real, like, level, like, a shroud of secrecy over the actual characters that are being revealed. Do you find that quite odd, considering... we're still not seeing them, so it wouldn't. Are they trying to quell expectations or something? I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think that Transformers are always a little easier to figure out what else is coming whenever a figure pops up. If Ironhide comes out, you can safely bet that there's going to be a Ratchet. Grapple came out last year. People are like, well, I guess we're getting Inferno next year.
Yeah.
But with Joe, it's
any Seeker. Starscream.
Well, yeah, any Seeker comes out.
Yeah.
And, so Starscream and all of them are... exactly. But with G.I. Joe, there's a lot more potential to change up who the character is and to change up some of the gear to make somebody new. So I think that, in general, that helps G.I. Joe stay a little more elusive as far as people investigating into things and trying to figure out what is going to be out there. And even for them to change up what their plans may be. So I think that comes into play.
Yeah. It's still always going to fascinate me forever that they also like give double code words to some, like to really throw people off the scent, which again is quite funny. But anyway, that is the retro and classified code word listings that have popped up.
I have a question. So does this mean that because now this list was a retailer list, maybe? Does this mean that Fortnite Snake Eyes is going to be at retail?
Well, that's a good question. One, we don't know if that deluxe is definitely the Fortnite Snake Eyes, but it's a good chance it is, based on many different things, including serial numbers and so on and so forth. But the thing is, it could be like some sort of release that is the same, but has not as many of the weapons or something, or it could be there's many. I think there's still a few options open as to what it could be. It could just be that they are releasing that Fortnite figure in a more commercial way. And the other thing is it could be a different figure entirely. It does just state deluxe figure. I think there's no code word attached to it, so it's all a little bit speculative at the moment. And of course, when we get that information, we'll be reporting on it. But right now there's a couple of options of what that particular figure could be and how it could be put out there in the retail market.
Okay,
awesome. Right, so next up, and in official YouTube channel news, yes, not our YouTube channel, but Hasbro have launched their official G.I. Joe YouTube channel as of just a few minutes ago, actually, as we record this. The channel will be showing full episodes of the Sigma 6 and Renegades TV shows, as well as original content going forward. The channel currently has a few episodes of the shows uploaded, but expect a lot more content in the near future. Pat, nice surprise as we jumped on today. What are your thoughts regarding this news?
Well, the first thing that I wonder is what other content is going to be going on there, and how often are they going to be doing updates? Those are my two biggest questions. I have been watching a ton of YouTube over the last year.
Why is that?
Yeah. Right, exactly. It's definitely been interesting exploring some of the channels that are out there. I found quite a few of them that I've really enjoyed. But I'm really wondering, how often am I going to see them in my feed? And I just don't want to miss anything if it's going to be G.I. Joe related.
Yeah.
Interesting that this is a G.I. Joe channel, not just a Hasbro channel. They already have Hasbro Pulse, like those features that they be doing like a behind the scenes kind of production thing, just like we saw them do for Unicron.
Yeah. I mean, I'm expecting Fan First Fridays to get redone on there. So like those events that happen are just posted on there. I'm expecting behind the scenes unboxed stuff that you see on Hasbro Pulse, possibly posted simultaneously, or actual original content that's going directly onto the YouTube channel. I imagine them using that G.I. Joe YouTube channel to actually do the live streams for the Fan First Fridays, because they have done it through Hasbro Pulse a lot of the time, haven't they? So maybe that's where they're starting to kind of separate their brands, so they all have their own little areas to operate in. So the Star Wars comes out not Star Wars, but you know what I mean, like My Little Pony or Power Rangers or G.I. Joe, etc. Transformers, yeah. And I'm also expecting maybe original content directly for the YouTube channel, things like commercials, product feature, stuff like that, stuff that we've been getting from Hasbro after the fact. Like when they've revealed something, they'll send us like a packet of, here's a bunch of videos and here's a bunch of photography and stuff like that. Maybe we'll get those videos featured on the YouTube channel, possibly.
Yeah, and whenever they have something, though, I mean, they could release a 30-second something every once in a while, and I'm sure we'd be happy to find it.
Yeah, we'd be like, hey, yeah, here's a video of something I already knew about, but I'm happy to watch this again. Yeah, totally.
Right. I could imagine some teasers showing up there, too, like just some, very vague previews. Just maybe just some of these placeholder names.
Yeah, yeah, it's just flashing up moonshine. Oh, what does that mean? What I'm going to laugh at is when they reveal that this YouTube channel is where they're going to post the Snake Eyes movie in full. Like, I know. Or, I'll tell you what, though, they could be lining up ready for a Snake Eyes trailer. You never know.
Yeah, that's not a bad thought. It really isn't.
Obviously, it's going to be posted there, like 100%. But it'll probably be on like Paramount Pictures YouTube channel.
Post that everywhere.
Yeah, that'll be on everything. Hasbro Pulse, yeah, the lot. Yeah, I can't wait for that. So yeah, that's the YouTube news basically. Kind of interesting. Really excited to see what they actually do with that. And that's it for the news this week. We might miss a few news stories by the time this gets posted. This is going to go up on Valentine's Day, which is a Sunday. So we do have we've got like a day and a bit of content that we might miss out on. Knowing what's been going on recently, we probably are going to miss out on some stuff. I'll be talking in depth next week with Justin Bell about the Ever Vigilant news and more movie stuff. And obviously, for the rest of this episode, Pat, I'm going to direct you to our top threes.
Love for hire. I would kill for you, dear. I've done so before. My love knows no bounds. Please open the door.
Okay, next up, we are looking at our top 3 love moments in G.I. Joe and our most prized G.I. Joe possessions. And seeing as Pat is here right now, I'm going to get you to go first, bud. Starting with your number 3, why don't you tell us your favourite G.I. Joe love-related moments, please?
Well, favorite G.I. Joe love-related moments, we need to take these lists very seriously. So I'm going to...
Which you did.
I did, yes, very seriously. So I'm going to start off saying... the 1999 G.I. Joe brand design team and Conan O'Brien. The 1999 G.I. Joe design team and Conan O'Brien. If you haven't seen the old video, it actually is on Conan's... and I say Conan like he's like we're pals in basis. Yeah, it's on his channel. I just rewatched it the other day, and there seemed to be a lot of flirtiness going on in there. So that's my number 3.
We're definitely posting the flirtation that's going on in that one. Brilliant. And that's a good shout as well, because we've already recorded the next segment that you're going to see later. So we're kind of cheating a little bit here, and I've ruined the magic for everyone again. But it was interesting to see what people picked for these moments, and there was honestly, it was so much outside the box thinking that it's just really interesting. So I'm glad you've gone with another really obscure one there, Pat. That's amazing.
Okay, and for my number 2 choice, I am going to go with the early 2000s G.I. Joe collecting community and the Manimals.
Brilliant.
It's one of those legendary tales of love, and it kind of has a tragic ending. The Manimals were canceled in 1994, and collectors, were saddened. They wanted, that's all they wanted. It was just the Manimals. Manimals, will you be mine? That was all collectors said for like 6 years. Manimals, you would complete my collection. Will you be mine? Please. And then as soon as they were available, collectors were like, I'm over it. So very sad. So
absence should make the heart grow fonder, not grow meh.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those cautionary tales. So I don't know why collectors just weren't there ready for those Manimals whenever they happened, but
Is that the classic community and fandom in general's fascination with things that are cancelled, though?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at with telling us. Is that it does seem like any time that we are told we can't have, and isn't that true for everything? You're told you can't have something, and it makes you want it more, and then once it's available, I wanted them. I've gone after the old Manimals, but as soon as those 3 showed up at KB Toys, I was completely surprised at the 180 that the collecting community took at the time, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm going to wait for them to go down in price."
Wow!
It's like, things have been going for hundreds or thousands of dollars sometimes, back in '94, and then they were like, "Well, I think at the time it was like, well, it's like $6 or $8. That's it could probably be a couple bucks cheaper." And I just thought that it was funny at the time. I kind of hold that as one of my examples of, well, people say that they want things, but do they?
Yeah. So it's love gone bad. That's a shame.
Yeah, it's a shame. That's going to be my number 2. Some sad stories here for Valentine's Day.
And your number 1, please, buddy.
My number 1 has got to be Serpentor and Pythona. I don't think that this is a love story that other people may have noticed, but if you watch G.I. Joe the movie, I think that Serpentor was all about that.
Yes. I think there was real chemistry going on there throughout that entire movie.
For sure. I mean, as soon as she showed up, she sneaks in and catches him alone in his throne room, and then she unbuttons the cloak and stands there, and he lights up, and you can kind of see like the wheels turning for a pickup line, but it's Serpentor, so he's going to have Serpentor versions of old pickup lines. That's what's going to happen. And I think that he was right there. He was about to say, do you come here often? But that wasn't going to work because there's never been that kind of hole in the side of the Terrordrome before. So instead, he went with the Serpentor version of Don't I Know You From Somewhere? Which was like, I've seen you before.
That's so true.
It's very strange. But then he slipped her a Valentine that said, be my Valentine. This I command.
I also like the fact that she opened her clam for him as well. So, too much?
Didn't really think of that.
Too much. Maybe that was a visual signifier, like yes, the sticky clam opens up with a broadcast energy transmission.
I was not going to go there. My brain didn't go there. But rewatching, like I said jokingly, Serpentor and Pythona, and I rewatched the scene, and I thought, well, as far as 80s cartoons, sometimes they were very subtle about their couples. Maybe they were, building up Serpentor and Pythona as a couple.
I did get that vibe, though, that they were almost like they were kind of being, they were, you know, the Cobra La society had almost made them like a, not a king, because obviously Globulus was in charge, but, you know, they were like the prince and princess of the Cobra La kind of situation.
She had a picture of him burned into a picture of herself burned into his soul, you know, so that he would recognize her.
Yep.
It seems like there's something more going on there.
It was probably the equivalent of what love is, but in Cobra La. Cobra Love, yeah. We'll call it.
Yeah. Or Cobra La 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 Love. I can't believe I just...
Well, you've done it now, and that is recorded for the rest of history. That's going to go down as one of the greatest things.
You made me do it. I blame you.
You now have the two greatest things that have ever happened on this channel. That, and also your sitcom entrance. Amazing. Pat, you're a genius. Right, okay, they're your top three. That's a cracking top three. Outside the box thinking. I always loved that. And now we move on to your most prized possession, G.I. Joe related. Take us through that if you could, bud.
Well, I was going to go with it's actually in a fire safe right now, because it's just something I want to make sure, you know, never leaves me. And that's my original 1982 Cobra Trooper, or just Cobra, really, I should call him, because that's what it was to me, my 1982 Cobra. I got that, I can remember, on my birthday when I was turning 7, I guess. 7, yeah. Back in 1982. So November 1982, I got my first figure, and that one's probably my most prized possession. But then I thought, I don't know if I want to dig that out to picture it up here. So maybe we should go with the Duke FEP, the final engineering pilot that we talked about. What was it, last November, I guess, for Assembly Required?
Yes.
The Joe Declassified panel from Assembly Required. I'm sure you saw the panel.
I saw the panel many times. We had 2 panels of about close to 2 hours on each, I think. It was a big chunk, wasn't it, of work. And yes, God, I feel like those panels have been seared into my brain, much in the same way as Pythona's visage was seared into Serpentor's.
I could imagine. That would be a ton of work. So I appreciate you doing that again.
That was a great show, though.
Really, like my favorite thing to find out in the collecting world is any figure that is production level, but pre-production, or that of course didn't come out. Either one of those things. And Duke is such a classical character that to have gotten this figure, it was really important to me. So we showed that off in November. I thought that I would mention that again.
Awesome. Okay, so which one have you gone with, though, for your most prized possession?
I thought that I was going to go with 1982 and then change it.
And now you're thinking the opposite.
You know what? Duke's my most prized one. No, I don't even know if that's true. I'm just kind of picking one that maybe most prized by other people. You know what? I'm going to go with my 1982 Cobra Trooper.
Yay!
Because if I had to restart the collection all over again, I'm restarting it with the one that I started it with before.
Amazing. And I tell you what, it's a good one it's a good shout as well. Like the first thing you ever got, it kind of should be at least held in that regard, you know? Like for me, it was Flint and Quick Kick, Action Force, Hasbro, International Heroes, Flint and Quick Kick. And I still have those 2 figures, and they are absolutely, you know, played with, almost, you know, destroyed to a degree. I think Flint's got this, he had this breakage around the back here on the back panel, on his kind of, you know, that back section. Basically right up here in the neck area, it snapped off. So I filled it with blue tack to fill that space off. There's this like tight, like, you know, like a little kind of triangular breakage off there. Also, I think I think his crotch is intact. One of his thumbs might be broken. And Quick Kick is, I think crotch went on Quick Kick. But they have been played with, you know. I still have them though, so yeah. Although, I don't know, most prized possessions are really difficult. And you'll find out mine in a little while at the end of the next segment. But Pat, mate, thanks for jumping on and doing that for me. We will now obviously switch over to that next segment with the rest of the crew, and we'll be back in a moment for shout-outs.
Marksman, I've got you in my sights, my scope's dialed in. If I pull the trigger, will a romance begin?
Okay, now it's time for our personal top 3 love-related moments in G.I. Joe, and I'm joined by 3 of the regular crew: Paddy I Love Snake Eyes Lennon, Erik Flirty Araña Araña, and Adam Snitches Get Kisses Riches. Sorry, Kate's laughing off screen. We will be running down our favourite G.I. Joe love-related moments, which includes everything from animal companions to unexpected couples. We will also be talking about our most treasured G.I. Joe possessions, because we can have love too. First up is Paddy. Take us through your top 3s, starting with your number 3 pick, please, my good man.
My top 3, I'm sorry, I've gone a little bit above board on this. My number 3 is obviously Quick Kick and his love for himself. You just have to look at the guy.
Self-love is very important.
I mean, if I were Quick Kick, I would love myself too.
To be fair, no one else is going to love him.
You just have to look at him, that outfit where he's showing off his abs all the time.
Like this.
He spends 4 hours a day in the gym. No carbs for that fella, I tell you. You've got that amazing card art where he's showing his foot to foot fetishes across the world.
The first pick and we're already into fetish territory. Amazing.
I'm pretty sure that Scoop took that photo, not for the card art.
And the funny thing is, his POC figure also has him showing his foot on the card art, so it's like a thing for him. They say he's a silent weapons expert, but he's a screamer. It has to be Quick Kick for number 3.
Brilliant. Great start, Paddy. Great start. I love Quick Kick. I think he's amazing anyway as a character. So, and obviously I'm pretty positive you've chosen him just due to the fact that he was so prominent in the UK and Ireland, right?
In Action Force, yeah. He was the Snake Eyes here for people in Ireland. Because he was just always constantly in the comic.
Quick Kick is the Irish Snake Eyes.
The Asian guy from Brooklyn was the Irish Snake Eyes.
So many levels on that. That's incredible.
I love it.
Okay, so sorry, I should mention I wrote a little Valentine's poem for all of these characters as well. So Quick Kick's Valentine's poem for his Valentine's card. Hyenas are red, his tanks are blue. I love kicking people, but I never wear shoes.
Brilliant. That needs a beat behind it, doesn't it?
And so my number 2 is Ripcord and Candy, obviously. I mean, it's a tale as old as time. Boy meets girl. He's in a secret army unit. She does kids' parties. He's a highly trained parachutist and halo jumper. Her dad's a Cobra scientist who created Cobra Island and is therefore indirectly responsible for the whole Target fiasco. She disappears. He jumps into enemy territory. He fights a master of the skies, swaps places with that master of the skies, finds Cobra his home base. Zartan wrecks the pit. And all because Zartan really wanted to do it with a furry.
Amazing. Another quality choice.
Therapy. The amount of therapy Ripcord needed after all of that. All because he wanted to bang a bear.
Bang bongo.
That's it. Exactly it. So we're back into fetish territory here. I think there seems to be some sort of pattern with my choices. And his Valentine's message to Candy. You're a balloon bear. I'm a Joe, it's true. I may be a parachutist, but I've fallen for you.
Nice.
It's a little known fact. The Iggy Pop song Candy was written for Bongo the Balloon Bear. Yeah, true fact. Look it up.
I'm looking it up now because I don't believe that.
This isn't the April 1st episode.
Yeah, it should be. In fact, how far away are we from that? Only a couple of months. Let's do it.
And my number one is obviously Serpentor and Sergeant Slaughter. And you can tell with these two guys there was unresolved sexual tension there. Like, as soon as they saw each other across a crowded Terradrome, they locked eyes and then they started grappling each other. Just like a pair of high school sweethearts at the back of a car on prom night.
Had him chained up initially as well, which was quite another sexy kind of maneuver.
That's true. You know, truly, Serpentor wasn't the only thing that arose that day. And their Valentine's card, Serpentor's Valentine's card wrote to Slammer, "I'm the clone of Generals. In the UK, you're called Slammer. Come to my Terradrome, and together we'll hammer."
Serpentor probably had the sexual prowess of all the great leaders in history. It has to go beyond just like military things, right?
Yeah, it would have been all of their things. I guess
all of their experiences, their collective experiences.
What I never thought about until now. Do you think that Sergeant Slaughter gets royalties on every Serpentor toy sold? Being that, he's the ultimate
DNA is in there.
Yeah. That's interesting. I wonder who would take care performing rights society, or who would be in control of the DNA rights for people. Probably Sunbow.
In comics, when you create a derivative character, you don't get the royalties because the original character creator gets them. So
yeah, so they get away with that.
I'm just saying, Sergeant Slaughter, maybe find a nice lawyer and
so and get all the royalties off all of those Serpentor sales.
Of those two Serpentor figures that have been released in the last 40 years.
Yes, right. Well, thank you, Paddy, for that. We'll be coming back around to you for our most prized possessions later. But next up, we have Erik to take us through his top three. Starting with number 3, please, buddy.
Sure. My number 3 is The Real Romance of G.I. Joe, and that is Gung Ho in the mass device with his laser gun. That he carefully sacrifices to test the Joe's incomplete mass device. It's a tale of love and loss.
That never even dawned on me until you mentioned it a while back in the message group, and then you think, yeah, he really loved that thing, didn't he?
Yeah.
Truly a tender moment.
It is.
Hand-reared it himself, I'd say.
Another quite sexy-ish character with his shirt open as well.
But just the vest with the big tattoo. Yeah, he's giving vibes.
Him and Quick Kick are probably going to be making out.
San Francisco in the 1970s vibes. Yeah.
My number 2 is actually a kind of not joke one. But it's Destro invading Cobra Island during the Cobra Civil War, just to rescue the Baroness and take her away from the chaos. And it was one of those things while you were reading it in the comics, he's invading, you don't really know why he's there. Is he there to take over Cobra? Is he there just to mess everything up? Or why he's there? And then they get the Baroness and they just take off and go back to his yacht, his giant cruise ship that houses his military. But it was just one of those things I was like, oh, that's really sweet. That's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, when we were kind of coming up with the idea for this, batting it around and doing all this kind of stuff. Obviously, we started on couples, didn't we? And it was kind of it's a little played out to kind of keep doing that. So let's do moments instead. But it's funny how it doesn't really matter what you're talking about with this kind of stuff. Destro and the Baroness will probably always come up, won't they?
And for the record, the Baroness got around. She was clearly with Cobra Commander. She was with Fred Cobra Commander. She was with Serpentor and Major Blood, and and that wasn't a thing for Destro. He was like, no, it's love. It's whatever. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to go and take her back and rescue her. And she did what she did, and that was fine. It's all good. No slut shaming on the Baroness.
Amazing. Right, and what would your number 1 be then? In fact, I know what it is.
My number one,
and it's hilarious,
is the worst concept in G.I. Joe ever. And that is whatever backwater swamp inbreeding that led to 6 identical Dreadnought cousins from the 2004 Dreadnought Rampage convention set.
Oh, that's a love I don't want to see.
It is the most disturbing concept in G.I. Joe. It's the worst idea in G.I. Joe ever. And I love the Dreadnoughts, like, love them. But that 6 identical cousins as the army builder, just make them give them a helmet and make them Dreadnought, like, army builders. Don't play up this, that they're all identical cousins. And then their names are all like Billy Bob and Herky Dirk and whatever. I don't even know. Like, they're just all, it's so bad.
Ding, 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 ding.
That's one of their names, I think.
Yes.
I also love that they're all still dressed the same as adults.
Yeah. Like, so bad. It's so bad.
That was. I think that's got to be up there with the worst convention set ever devised, hasn't it? Like, I mean, like, there's been so many like amazing sets, even like vintage and modern. And that
I think the rest of that Dreadnought Rampage set is really good. There's new Tiger Force characters. There's these really nice new decos on like the classic Dreadnoughts and Zorana and Zartan and everybody. It's just that one part of it, those stupid Billy Bob cousins, and I'm saying Billy Bob because that is one of their names, and it's the only one I remember. And it's...
I like the fact that this is your number one favourite love moment from G.I. Joe.
It involved orgy that happened to cause that Dreadnought set.
It involves some awful inbreeding genetics.
Whenever these threes come up, it's always like bang, 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 and then I kind of go, you do realise your number one is hideous, right?
Yeah.
It's really... But yeah, that's fine. You can have hideous
love.
Well,
that's where I get it.
As we all know, the line between love and hate can be quite thin, you know?
Yeah. It's easy to stumble over it a little bit and, kind of wobble on it.
The line between love and incest can be quite hideous, is what I would have said on that. But yeah, I know what you mean, though. That set was... it's ruined a little bit by that. But yeah, there are some good figures in there.
Yeah, the whole set is ruined.
Was there a Tiger Force hardtop in that, or have I just made that up?
There is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like hardtop, Beachhead, Hawk, and someone else. Oh, Mutt.
Was that the same con that had the Hawk turning into Zartan thing?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
It also had like a Tiger Force hydrofoil.
Oh, yeah.
And it had some great vehicles. Like, it had that awesome, like, purple and teal stun. And, it had some really nice recolored vehicles and stuff, too. Like, that was... Like I said, the rest of the set is great. It's just that one bit, and that one bit is kind of the focus.
Yeah.
So you're right. It contaminates and ruins the whole set. That is the Dreadheads.
I forgot that was their
just
name.
Like the Dreadnought DNA contaminated and ruined that swamp.
They're called Dreadheads, and they don't even have dreadlocks.
Yeah, and they all have the same head, so it should have just been called Dreadhead. Anyway, right. Right, moving on then to Adam. Your top three, please, buddy. What's your number 3 to start us off?
For my number 3 pick, I actually wrote this down and get it just right. What do you your special someone on Valentine's Day? Candy, of course, from 2003. It's the G.I. Joe versus Cobra Duke canteen filled with candy dots. So I decided not to go with the incest angle on mine and more for actual Valentine stuff.
Shame, really.
Hope you guys understand. I never actually ate these. I just thought, candy seems so Valentine's appropriate.
Have you ever had a set of those? Not eaten them, but just had
I've never even seen them, actually.
Yeah, I kind of want one now. I also want to try the candy, even if it's 30-something years old.
Well, full disclosure, originally I was teetering back and forth on this one between also doing flowers, in which case it was going to be the bouquet that Billy brings to his dad to try and shoot him, but I thought that seems a little cruel on Valentine's.
That's harsh. Yeah.
All right. At number 2, we've got... This this is a little on the nose, but when it works, it works. G.I. Joe number 225, Agnes Garbowska variant cover. You don't have to say a thing, Valentine.
Beautiful. Really
I love the art on that, yeah.
When I think of cute and G.I. Joe, those aren't really two words that go together, but this just really worked for me. It's so funny and just bizarre, and the fact that it comes with a cutout Valentine that obviously no one's really going to cut out. But, I really like Agnes's work, and it especially on this, it was just such an unusual place to see it, because she usually does stuff that's more kid-related and girl-related, My Little Pony, DC Superhero Girl, stuff like that, so... This was just such a irreverent and funny thing, and actually IDW did a whole series of Valentine covers that month, but this one really stuck the landing for me. Even though I actually did one of the other variant covers on that same issue, if I'm honest, I like hers a whole lot better.
We all do too, Adam.
It's fine, And finally, my number one, from the iconic classic 1987's G.I. Joe the movie. We all know what it's like to have that one family member that's a gold-plated goof-off, and such was the case when Duke had to look out for his endlessly failing younger brother. But in the ultimate sacrifice of love, he took the snake meant for his heart from Serpentor. But don't worry, Duke's going to be A-OK.
He slipped into a love coma.
I love that.
Well, judging by the figure that's showing up at retail, he's still screaming about it.
Oh!
I love that the constantly failing Lieutenant Falcon.
Failing upward. Yeah.
Constantly failing and outranking his older brother, Lieutenant Falcon. That's a great one, and it's like that scene as well. I remember when I first saw that, I was like. I think as a child, I was like, kind of like just shocked. Like I vaguely remember just being like, "What?" And then kind of glazed over the fact that Duke was going to be A-OK at the end. Like I think I just assumed it like we'd find out about it later, and hadn't really taken into consideration what was said at the end by Doc. So it wasn't until a little bit later that I realised, oh, he's all right. Good, yay! And then later on, I realised that he should have been killed.
We lost Paddy.
Paddy, all right?
Yep, sorry there. Issue with the laptop.
Did you fall or did the laptop fall?
I think Paddy literally picked it up and threw it in the ceiling in anger at all of my comments there. But that's a great scene, mate.
I always liked how Falcon's big repayment was to say, "Thanks, big brother," as he looked at the sky.
Didn't buy him anything. Didn't buy him a Valentine's or anything.
Didn't go visit him in the
Candy Dots or something.
Yeah, Candy Dots. Didn't visit him. No, didn't get him some flowers and then shoot him through the flowers. Could have done any of those things.
Committed incest.
No.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, a little bit of incest.
Redheads are all Falcon and Dukes.
Oh, full circle. And you thought you didn't have any incest in your top three, Adam. This has turned into an incest special rather than a Valentine's special. I'm not sure how I feel about that.
I mean, it's the first thing you think about when you watch or listen to anything related to G.I. Joe, so it's pretty natural. That's
a very good point. Anyway, I'm going to do my top three now and try and avoid... No, I've probably got it in there as well. Basically what I have at number 3 is a light-hearted one, and it's Lightfoot and his mind detector robot drone. And the only reason that I feel that there would be love between these two is because I've built one of these myself, and I had a lot of love for mine. I don't think he would have put his willy in his drone, but you never know. So I'm not saying I did. You can make your own mind up on that.
You're also not saying you didn't.
Exactly.
But it gets pretty lonely and assembly required, you know?
Oh, amazing. Anyway, yeah, so there's Lightfoot in his drone, his love for his drone, and it's reciprocated. And at number 2, I've gone for quite an interesting one that kind of, as I was thinking about all those moments in the Action Force comics and stuff like that, it was always the same kind of thing. It was always Flint and Jay, or Scarlet and Snake Eyes, or Quick kicking himself. So when I when I started kind of like going through some of the issues again, I remember this one story that kind of stuck out, and it was Betrayal, which was actually printed in Action Force Monthly issue 4, which became European Missions, G.I. Joe European Missions, and it's a story that has Dusty clattering into Flint's office, not orifice, and like basically saying, "I quit, I'm done with Action Force," throwing his rifle on the ground, really like big gestures here. And Flint's just all calm. He's like, well, first 2 questions, why? And Dusty kind of explains it to him and says, it was all about Julie Krieg, this basically someone that Dusty had been working alongside, Julia Krieg, sorry, someone that he'd been working alongside in like missions for Action Force. And it turned out they were on this mission. She was this really funny thing in the issue where he says Cross Country was on leave, so Julia was driving the Havoc. He was like, what? There's only one Havoc? Okay, fair enough. And only Cross Country can drive it. It's all quite interesting. And so basically and the other interesting thing about this issue is there's a bunch of Dusties that are like army builders in it. So they're like troops are all dressed like Dusty, which I thought was really funny. So in the desert.
They call those brown shirts. No, wait, that's not right.
So there's Dusty in all the brown shirts in the desert, and they hit this mine that he fails to notice. So again, that's him being crap. He's thrown away from the explosion, but the blast throws him away from the kind of site as Cobra converge on this, this group of brown shirts. I'm going to call them from now on. And when Dusty comes to, he goes over to the site where this explosion and attack has happened, and everyone's been slaughtered, and there's no sign of Julia. He thinks she's been captured and taken by these Cobra troopers and so on and so forth. So he goes on the hunt. He finds them, and it's very Anakin in Revenge of the Sith, was that Attack of the Clones where he killed all the sand people?
You mean the fact that Dusty hates sand? It's coarse. It gets everywhere.
Yes, exactly. So when Anakin wiped out the sand people, it's got that vibe to it. It really has. And he just basically gets all angry. It's at night. They've got this little campfire going. He takes all the Crimson Guards, all the troopers out in, like one fell swoop. And then when the dust settles, he realizes that one of the people on the ground is a Crimson Guard, and it's Julia. So obviously she'd been infiltrating Action Force this entire time, and Dusty was heartbroken. He even says at one point in the issue at the beginning, like he'd have died for her and all this kind of stuff. So there was this real kind of, powerful story. And it was always the way with Action Force stories. They were always really like quite brutal and quite sad. And there's loads of there's loads more of that kind of edge to some of the stories. And it kind of gave Dusty a bit more character than he hadn't had before, I don't think. And that's saying something because, as a cartoon character, he was well developed. As a comic book character in the Marvel run, he tended to have some good storylines and stuff. But this one for Action Force I thought was really cool. And anyway, that was my number 2. But yeah, actually it finishes. I should tell you, I'm not going to leave you hanging there. He is about to quit, and Flint talks him out of it and says that if he didn't trust Dusty, then he'd be off the team, but he should stay. So he does. Good old Flint. Anyway, my number 1. Actually, I changed my mind at the last moment for this one because I did originally have. I can't even remember what I originally had on my number 1. Oh yeah, it was another kind of jokey-ish one. It was going to be the Hydro Viper and the love for his Ray. But that didn't stick in the end. And I changed my mind, mainly because it dawned on me that Worlds Without End is one of my favourite ever cartoons in the Sunbow series. In any cartoon ever, it's one of my favourite little storylines. And obviously there's this massive twists and turns in it. They go to a parallel dimension. Everyone knows what Worlds Without End is about. But for me, it has to be the Baroness Steeler relationship that they had. Steeler was killed. That Steeler in that timeline was killed. And then this new Steeler kind of comes into this new parallel dimension and is like, I might as well stay. And me and the Baroness can be, you know, sexy times and all that kind of jazz. So I thought that it was not only was that story really kind of layered and dark and kind of depressing at times, there was also this nice little kind of thing where the Baroness and Steeler were reunited in a nice way, and I just thought that was really cool. So yeah, that's my number one of the top 3 love moments in G.I. Joe. So
Chris and Adam had kind of runner-ups. Paddy, did you have any runner-ups that you almost put in?
No, I didn't.
Really, my almost runner-up was Roadblock and Food.
Oh,
that was more of a serious one. That was almost, because that was one of the things I loved about Roadblock, was that he really wasn't this big. He was this big, massive guy who could throw you through a brick wall, but he was really this like sweetheart who liked to cook and liked to, you know, and really cook, like not like, you know,
yeah,
like
just
to
was
fry
just
burgers,
yeah.
He liked to like really cook like gourmet, and so that was actually almost my number one.
You know, I do hear that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. So,
yeah. There's a really good detour though, just below the stomach.
Either side as well.
Right,
either side.
Yeah.
2 different options either side of below the stomach. Anyway, right, that's amazing. I love how this segment has gone. It's already been fantastic. But anyway, coming back to Paddy now, we're going to do our most prized possessions, G.I. Joe related. I know this is a difficult question. It probably changes on a daily basis. I know a lot of the things that come into my possession tend to jump up to the top immediately. But is there anything like in your collection that really just you have a real love for? Starting with Paddy.
Yeah, so cast your mind back to Comics Burst number 19.
Blimey.
The heady days of 2018.
630 episodes ago. Done.
Yeah. So we were reviewing Silent Auction. Myself, you, Brian Hickey, were reviewing Silent Auction number 2 and 3. And I pointed out that I only gave it 4 stars because it had been the first issue where Helix had been, you know, chopping people up really, really, really badly. And then 2 or 3 really, really slowed that down, and I was kind of disappointed. So I said that if I ever came into some money, I would commission G.I. Joe artist Neto Diaz to draw Helix chopping the Mickey off the Cobra Trooper for me. Lo and behold, Lo and behold, 2 weeks later, Boss Fight commissioned me to do some work on Series Z, coming soon. And I ended up with a lot of money that I had not expected to be getting. So I'm like, well, like, what's a good thing to do with this money? Shall I invest it in, you know, GameStop shares? Shall I put it in the bank? What should I do with this money? These dollars I got for, you know, doing all the Series Z work. And so I reached out to Neto Diaz and said, Neto, how's your commission list at the moment? And Neto says, I'm fine. Yeah, I'll take on any work. So I commissioned him to do Helix threatening to take the Mickey off of a Cobra Trooper with a knife.
Brilliant.
And he delivered. And now, whenever I get any more money from Boss Fight Studio, I'm going to reach out to other G.I. Joe artists and get them to do their take on that same scene. So, Adam, if you're looking for work in the next few months,
yeah, there's certain subject matter.
You know how all those were, you know those Renaissance guys did like the Pieta, which is like Mary holding Jesus off the cross, and you know Michelangelo did one, and all these other guys. I'm going to get all the G.I. Joe artists to do that same scene. So Adam, you're next on the list whenever I get some more Boss Fight money.
Amazing. The fallen Helix with the chopped Mickey is what they could call it. Yes, amazing. That's a great prize possession, and I've been flashing that up as you've been talking about it. Really, really good work from Neto. Amazing artist. Erik, what's your most prized G.I. Joe possession, bud?
Well, nowadays I don't actually have a lot of G.I. Joe stuff. I've kind of purged most of it from my collection. I do still have some. Most of the stuff I have is not necessarily figure related. Like I have a lot of like mugs and glasses and
fridge magnets.
Yes, fridge. Yeah, I do have fridge magnets. I have a couple of random figures still, but not a whole lot. And but I think my prized possession is probably the 1982 metal lunchbox. I love it. I had it as a kid. I love the artwork on it. It's very like energetic and like kind of scritchy. Like it's not this like super clean like the card art and everything was. Like it's got this like energy to it that most other G.I. Joe product didn't have at the time. And I can never remember which Joe Customs guy gave it to me, but one of the Joe Customs guys gave it to me at the JoeCon in Dallas.
Wow.
Because I was talking about how much I like that one piece, and he had one, and he said he just used it to carry paint around in, so he just gave it to me. And then I came across another one a while back for a really good price, like it was like $10 type of price. Damn. And it was in a really nice condition. So I grabbed that one, and now I have them both at each at one end of a shelf with the different side facing out, because the art on both sides is so great.
Awesome.
So
I remember picking that up when I was with you, Adam, and Zoe and Kate, and we were in a comic toy store in where was it?
Maybe Tennessee.
It was probably Tennessee, wasn't it? When we went on that little kind of like independent toy store, kind of, I don't know, like hunt. Yeah, I love that lunchbox. It's really dope, and I just love lunchboxes in general. I've got bloody hundreds of them. They're great. But yeah, that metal one, that kind of G.I. Joe one, there's something really like extra to it, isn't there?
Yeah, I really hate when I buy a lunchbox though, and it's got like I gotta buy a figure with it. Like I don't want the toy. I just want the goddamn lunchbox.
Amazing. Right, moving on quickly then. Adam, what's your most prized G.I. Joe possession?
I almost want to say like I can't really answer this. I thought about this far more than I should have. Unlike Eric, I have almost everything G.I. Joe ever. So and sticking with the whole love theme here and sentimentality, I was like, well, geez, I've got figures that were given to me by my grandparents that are no longer here, friends that are no longer here. I've had things that have been gifted to me. I've had things that I've gotten on travels, and to narrow that down to one is virtually impossible. So
here's 20.
Yeah. So just for the sake of keeping this at normal episode length, I'm going to go ahead and say, and you wouldn't know it because it looks like it's buried behind garbage, but this 1987 G.I. Joe the movie poster up here.
Oh, that's nice.
I as I made sure to 5 minutes, I'm a super fan of this movie, and I searched for a poster for it for, I don't know, what feels like a small eternity, probably close to 20 years. It's actually the only one I've ever seen that's a full size like that. I think it belonged to a Hasbro employee, and so I can't really assign any kind of monetary value to it, but from a sentimental standpoint, it's something that I've never seen before or since, and I love the movie, and the artwork is really cool, so I love getting to see it every day.
That's a really good point, because I don't think I've seen... I like when you search for like the cover art for like VHS or like something like that, it's really difficult to find a nice clear shot of it, isn't it? And it's like you wonder if there are any posters of that out there, because I know like the Action Force movie cover is slightly different. It has like obviously it has different branding on it, but there's a whole section where they've removed the G.I. Joe logo. They put Action Force at the top rather than where the G.I. Joe logo was, and they had to redo a lot of that stuff that was covered by, unless it was there and they were able to take that G.I. Joe. I don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of the art, unfortunately. But
like the logo's painted right into it.
Yeah, so it would probably be it's probably not like an overlay kind of job, is it? Yeah, so it boggles my mind why they went to that much. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, I'd love to know if there's other stuff out there for the movie, because it feels like we've only just started seeing, and not very many, like cells and stuff like that, right, for the movie. They're like hardly in existence, right?
Never even seen a single animation cell. I've seen like model sheets and the storyboards and the script, but never an animation cell, no real movie direct merchandise to speak of.
Do you think some Sunbow at the time bigwig has got it in there, like died and it's like in there? It's storage locker.
It's probably collecting dust in some studio in Korea or Japan or something.
Yeah,
I would certainly hope so. I mean, I know that Flint Dilley has been looking through archives and posting some of that stuff on his Facebook, and he's been posting like series Bibles and stuff, and I keep being like, oh, come on, I know it's in there. So far, nothing.
Because an interesting story kind of related to that is that friends of mine, the Mapes, Steve and Dave Mapes, came across an incredible collection of Visionaries paperwork and audio tapes and, like tons and tons of this stuff. Like we're talking like 30 or 40, probably even more than that, but like big storage boxes just full of paperwork and stuff like that. So they've been like slowly going through it, and it's scripts and it's concepts and it's ideas and it's memos back and forth. It is comprehensive, and they've even like released videos of audio that wasn't used for certain scenes. Like they cut there's one scene where Arzon is talking to, trying to get his staff to give him information, the bearer of knowledge. And Viralina is dressed up as like a different, like she's in disguise, and the bearer of knowledge kind of apparently in like the unreleased goes on for ages, like just talks and talks and talks and talks. They cut loads of it out, but they've got the tapes of that and the storyboards and everything. It's really cool. So I'm just hoping that somewhere there's a similar cachet, but for G.I. Joe the movie, because that would be incredible, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I just hope somebody gives me time to build up the wealth a little bit before that gets discovered.
We'll give you 400 years.
If you take on my commission, we can have money to you this week.
That should cover all of that movie paraphernalia.
That should probably buy you some copy of the script or something. Surely.
Copy. That would pay for the facsimile of one of the pages. No, anyway, right. Yes, so that's great. Really good shout there, Adam. And I apologise for giving you such a difficult question to deal with. It is because I would say there's probably about 40 items in my collection that I would probably have level pegging high at that high end. So it's not easy to say, but I'm gonna go with one that is actually right here next to me, and it kind of covers a couple of different things here. Now, one, obviously, Valentine's Day today. It's not today. We're recording this in prior, but for you listeners and viewers, it's Valentine's Day today, and that is also the date of my wedding anniversary to my lovely wife, Kate McLeod, and who is off screen at the moment. But you've probably seen pictures of her. I post a lot. Now,
napping. Kate.
She's feeding me grapes. And basically, this little creature here that I've got in my hand was and I'll explain it a little bit, was a wedding present from a certain Bob Breakin. Now, Bob obviously is the godfather of the Palatoy Action Force. He's kind of been placed up there as the guy behind it all. Obviously, there was a team behind it, but Bob was hugely instrumental in the design of a lot of the characters and stuff like that. And one of the characters he designed was this little creature called Skeletron. Now, he gave us this. Now, it's a little bit beaten up, but this is a prototype, one of the first ever prototypes that appeared in Toy Fair catalogues. Sorry, Paddy's gone rogue again and thrown his computer across the room.
My cat keeps knocking the laptop off over.
Good work. And so this is this is one of the original, basically one of the original prototypes of Skeletron. And it even says on this little certificate that he's provided with me, this confirms that this is a prototype model of the Action Force Skeletron figure that was on display at the British Toy Fair in January 1984. The individual components have been cast in epoxy resin from rubber molds, constructed, then finally hand-painted. And that is Bob Breakin, manager and lead designer of Action Force. So we're obviously really close with Bob. And another kind of, I would say, like, one that's up there with this particular figure is one of the reasons we ended up meeting up with Bob, and that's Kate's 12-inch scale Robo Skull, which is another kind of one of those possessions that is just like, wow, to have, because obviously I've taken full ownership of that now. She doesn't know, but don't tell her. But yeah, that's actually another one that's up there. But that was one of the reasons we met up with Bob, because he really wanted to see this. He wanted to see us, but I think more he wanted to see the 12-inch Robo Skull in person. So we met up at this amazing Star Wars toy museum display thing that was going on at the time in Leicester, and hung out the whole day. He was lovely. Obviously I've known him previously, but it was the first time meeting Kate, and we've just been really kind of close, kind of as we've kind of gone along. So it was lovely for Bob to do that for us. We really appreciate it, and that has to be up there with one of my prized possessions, I think. And yeah, and it's a lot of sentimental value, and obviously it makes it kind of connects as well with Valentine's Day, with the wedding, with all that kind of jazz. And hopefully, I can put it back without breaking everything. And hopefully, Adam will be okay with that one, because he had a problem with me utilising anything in terms of my wedding with a G.I. Joe love moment, which is fine, because he does make a lot of sense there. It kind of has to be a bit more G.I. Joe related.
I'm trying to keep this show interactive for the listeners. They can't marry Kate, but they can buy Action Force toys, So,
surely, from a marketing standpoint, I appreciate that, Adam. That's good.
I can tell them about this comic cover, and they can say, that looks pretty cool, I'm going to go buy that. But, we got to be honest. There's not someone out there.
We can tell them about incest, and they'll be like, we could try that.
That's relatable.
Not everyone has 6 identical cousins,
Yes.
Oh, my God, that's
How
amazing.
are you going to get them without trying some incest?
Amazing. Well, yeah, so that brings us to the end of this rather incestuous segment. Amazing. No, guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for jumping on and talking through your top 3 love moments in G.I. Joe. I should also add across the history of G.I. Joe. Yeah. It would have been weird if it was just Joe Colton's love moments, which would have just been, that would have been weird. So anyway, thank you so much, fellas. And
this was definitely not weird.
It wasn't. No, it was smooth. It was not dirty or weird in any way, shape, or form.
Somehow we got through it without any of us bringing up the deep, deep romance between Bazooka and Alpine.
Oh, that's so true. I did kind of toy with that as one of my picks, but it's so obvious. Yeah. Alpine and Bazooka's love for each other is up there with Flint and Jay, Baroness and Destro, Snake Eyes and Scarlet, Scarlet and Duke, etc., etc., etc. So yeah. Anyway, thank you guys, and we'll bring that to a close now, and we'll go and flip back on over to Patrick for the shout-outs.
Seeping and weeping. If you spurn my love, it would wound me so deep, like a 9mm gut shot, leaving me in a heap.
We are back with shout-outs, and I mean, as always, a big shout-out to all the family, but an extra special shout-out to my wonderful wife, Kate, as we celebrate our 4th wedding anniversary today. I love you with all my heart, Poppet. Have a great us day, and we'll do some fun stuff later. That sounds really dodgy, but dinner and stuff. We're too old for that now. And also to Brian Sauer, who continues to create some amazing graphics for us, including the awesome Red Shadows theme for this special episode. Thank you, Brian. It's hugely appreciated. Pat, any shout-outs this week?
Not any new ones. Maybe to Warren for saying something about those variations. I do appreciate just seeing other people excited about G.I. Joe variations. I really do appreciate it when people post those and make those available. So shout out back again to him who we shouted out to earlier, and to the general, people who are watching. I appreciate hearing from people. So to everyone watching here on Valentine's Day, or a few days after it's posted, whenever it may be. Maybe it's 10 years after this was made and you're for some reason watching it. Shout out to that person.
They'll be like,
anybody who will watch the full force, basically.
They're going to be like, oh my God, that's me in 10 years' time. Yeah, big shout out to our patrons, our viewers, listeners, all of you guys. Big love, obviously, on the Big Love Day. We should I'm gonna do it for you, but definitely Phil from Articulate Points.
Yes. It's tradition now. I was going to not do it this time and see if you would. So yeah, shout out to Philip again.
Hey, I have a template for this edit, so it's easier if you just say the same stuff every week. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, big shout out to Phil.
It could be like Matt Damon on.
Oh my God, yes, Phil, you're Matt Damon, right? Absolute pleasure having you back on, Pat. Another cracking episode in the bag. Thanks for joining me, buddy.
Yeah, thanks again for having me on.
Absolutely. So yeah, that brings us to the end of this episode. Thank you for watching the Full Force Weekly. Massive thank you to my awesome co-host Patrick and the rest of the crew. See you next time, and as always, full force. Actually, no, we do this together, don't we? I forgot myself at that point. After 3, Pat. 1, 2, 3. Full force. All our love. Regards.
Cupid's compound. Love's arrow pierced my heart, as though shot from Zartan's bow. My fondness for you larger than my hate for G.I. Joe.
Competition time. On this week's show, we really didn't have a choice, did we? We are giving away a set of these very romantic G.I. Joe Valentine paper aeroplanes, courtesy of GeneralsJoes Reborn. All you have to do is comment on this video wherever you see it with your favourite G.I. Joe love moment. We'll announce the winner on next week's show, so good luck, and as always, full force. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter at The Full Force, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/The Full Force, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback or questions. We have also started a Patreon page, so if you want to see your name up in lights on these videos or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/The Full Force Podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.